All right, so Avengers Endgame. We saw Infinity War last year 5 times in theaters. So is this a film that we were just predestined to love because of how much we loved Infinity War? I will say Infinity War is probably my favorite comic book movie ever. It's up there. It's probably one of my best theater experiences I've ever had. It's up there with The Dark Knight for me. So anyways, Endgame. What we thought about it. It's either a pass it, wait for it, or see it. 3, 2, 1, see it. Now, what I will say is that we will talk about generalities about what we thought of Endgame for a minute or two, but we are going to have to talk about spoilers to actually get into the things that we did and did not like about this film. So, with that said, let's get into it. All right, so this is going to be a longer review. There's a lot to unpack. We're going to talk just a couple of minutes about non-spoilery stuff, about basic stuff that we liked about the film, and then we're going to get into a long discussion of spoilers. So, Avengers Endgame. I really enjoyed it. I think this is one of the better films in the MCU. I didn't like it more than Infinity War, but it completes Infinity War's story. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be one of those things where I feel like I'm going to have a hard time watching Infinity War without watching Endgame. I feel like I'm going to need to watch them in conjunction with each other because it essentially completes the whole story. It is the second half of what Infinity War was. I liked the majority of the character arcs in the film. The ending, I said the last hour, is incredibly thrilling. Probably one of the most thrilling hours in Marvel's 22 films. Mm-hmm. What did you think as just generally as a whole of this film?
I thought it was really, really fun. Like, I actually really liked all of the characters. I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of liked Brie Larson's Captain Marvel in this one way better than hers in her original. But I mean, I think that goes with she had a lot of side characters and other characters that she was able to bounce things off of. So I actually really liked Brie Larson in this. But I am glad that she was not 100% a part of the film. I will say the one thing that I really liked about the film was that it really did focus on the original Avengers. Like, It didn't bring Captain Marvel in. They brought her in early, but she wasn't like a part of the team, and that's what I was kind of afraid of, is that they were just going to bring in these other people and make them a part of the team. And even Ant-Man, even though he was there, it was still the focus of the first hour and a half was just the main team, and I liked that a lot.
I would even put Ant-Man as part of the original, not the original team, but he came in early enough. He came in around the same time that Guardians did. So they're early enough for me that they didn't feel shoehorned in for.
No, I know, but it was still like Thor, Captain America.
Yeah.
Iron Man, Black Widow, and the Hawkeye. It felt to me like it was their story, and Ant-Man was there.
Can't forget Hulk.
And Hulk. Sorry, I forgot about Hulk. Sorry, Hulk. And Ant-Man and Rocket were there, but they weren't like. It wasn't. It just like the original.
Yeah, no, it was the OGs of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, if you haven't seen this film and you're worried that Captain Marvel is going to be like stealing the spotlight, they do a good job with putting her into the plot without, I feel like, shoehorning her in. She's there, but she doesn't steal the spotlight.
Not at all. I don't think that I thought that they did a really good job of just keeping her in for a little bit. And they didn't have her just like take over like people thought she was going to. And that's not what she does at all.
I'd say, I mean, if you were to put a screen time on how long she's in the movie, maybe 10 minutes. She's there. I mean, if that. Which I did like that they didn't let some of the other Avengers throughout the course of this film be overshadowed by some of the new characters. I like that this was sort of a wrapping up. And it is very much a wrapping up of a lot of the storylines we've been following since Iron Man. Mm-hmm. They did this is probably one of the most satisfying endings to a comic book franchise that I've ever seen. It probably could be the best. I'm trying to think of what other comic book franchises that might rival it. Because a lot of them kind of like falter out by the end of their franchise. By number 3, usually their trilogies. This pretty much trumps all the endings. You could essentially, if you want to stop watching the MCU at this point, like feels like a definitive ending to me. Mm-hmm. There's going to be more, but if you stop watching it at this point, it is a complete whole story.
Oh yeah, for sure, all of them. I mean, all of them are just, it's a nice ending to any, if you wanted it to be, it could have been an ending to the complete Marvel franchise.
Yeah.
Like, could have been, but it's not going to be.
Now, I will say that I think some people's enjoyment of this film will be dependent upon how they treat or how they've treated certain characters in this film. There's some characters who are like unequivocally some people's favorite, and they're not going to like the representation that some of these characters got in this film because they do some wonky stuff with some of the characters. I wasn't a fan of everything that they did. One of the reasons why Infinity War is my favorite over this, because I loved pretty much everything they did with the characters in Infinity War. They did a bunch of stuff that rubbed me the wrong way. Wasn't 100% on board with everything, but 100% the ending of this film pretty much makes up for any shortcomings that I felt it might have had with some of the other characters. Now, with that said, do you just want to get into now the spoiler discussion?
Oh, I thought we gave away some spoilers before.
No, we haven't given anything.
Not really, nothing
not
big.
plot-wise.
You're right. You're right. All right, let's do it.
Because I think to really talk about this film, we need to get into the plot, their mission, how they treated some of these characters, where they went with some of the people.
It's going to be a lot of you talking.
So, first off, I knew what the mission was going to be going into this movie. I saw set pictures from 2 years ago. I knew it was going to be a time-traveling adventure, sort of collecting the Infinity Stones, which is essentially, that's the plan. They want to go time-hopping to collect the Infinity Stones. This whole thing is set up at the end of Ant-Man when he goes into the quantum realm. I believe it is Janet. It's either Janet or Hank that tells him, like, hey, you got to be careful because if you go down like the wrong path or something, you'll wind up in a different time and place in the quantum realm. And that's essentially, it's not what happens, but Ant-Man comes back and we jump forward in time from the end of Infinity War. And when Scott comes back, he feels like it's been like 5 hours. He's like, hey, I have this idea. If I did this in the quantum realm, maybe we can come out at different points in time.
Yeah.
And so then that sets off the Avengers on their quest to go time hopping to collect the Infinity Stones. I knew that this was going to happen. What was your initial thoughts on this plot as it was unfolding, since you didn't know this was going to happen?
Okay, well, now I feel silly with what my prediction is.
What did you think?
Well, because everyone was saying that, like, somebody's going to die. There's going to be a bunch of people die. I thought that the switch, I thought that Thanos was going to win, and I thought that the snap was going to reverse who died, and everybody who died the last time was going to survive, and everyone who survived last time was going to die.
Oh.
Like, I thought it was going to be like a switch, because everyone kept saying that so many people are going to die. So I thought, like, Thor was going to be gone. I thought that all of the original were just going to be wiped out.
So they'd reenact the snap, but the snap would
essentially just like switch the population of like who died.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I never thought about that. I mean, that's an interesting dark place to go with it.
It is very, well, don't know. I told you that yesterday. I was like, I don't want to tell you, but like, I think maybe it'll just be switched. Maybe you didn't understand what I was trying to say because I was saying it so like in a shy way, but
there was a theory that the original Avengers would switch their places with the people that got snapped, and that's how they would bring them back.
We'll get it. Like the whole population, but I thought like somehow the main Avengers were gonna get wiped out as like
a sacrifice to bring the other ones,
or like somehow it was gonna get switched or something. It was gonna happen because everyone was like, they're all gonna die. So I thought everybody was gonna die, but just like the original characters.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think of the actual time hopping aspect?
That was good. It's not that I expected that, but as it was going, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense on how else were they gonna get it back? Like I had no idea how they were gonna get it back. So somehow they had to go back in time, which was a little bit, not obvious because I wasn't sure, but like there had to be, it just made sense as it was going along. I was like, okay, I can follow this. And it really was that hour-long setup of like them going back. I think the one thing that I actually felt was kind of put off is that it's almost like all those episodes of Friends in the last seasons where they just start to take everything that they used to do and plot it in. And like start showing old clips of the show. I felt like Avengers did that in the first hour. They just took old clips of other movies and just put it in here and then like added them in the background.
It's very Back to the Future-esque, the way they do it.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially, like in Back to the Future, Marty's in, I think it's the second one. Yeah, it's the second one where he goes back to like the school dance and he's seeing himself like fight Biff, or I think he sees his dad fight Biff. It's very much like that, where the Avengers are in these scenes, like the Battle of New York, and they're watching themselves fight the Chitauri.
I will say my favorite part is when Hulk is like, "Oh, I have to be mean," and then like, kicks it, and then kicks it.
This is a little gratuitous, but whatever. Now, I will say, I liked Professor Hulk. So they went Professor Hulk with Banner. They assimilated Banner and the Hulk. So it's essentially Banner and Hulk's body. And I like that they went there. I wanted a little bit more. We'll get into it a little later. But I did like that at the start. It was a fresh surprise. I didn't realize they were doing that. I don't know if they've ever hinted at that in the trailers. I don't know if that's something that other people knew. I had no idea they were doing that. So as soon as the Hulk pops up in the diner and they're like eating food and like the kids come to take a selfie, it was just a riot. I had a lot of fun with Professor Hulk. I wasn't a big fan of what they did with Thor. But again, this will be something that I will get into in a little bit. But essentially, we're reintroduced to Thor, and Thor's now after the snap, he's essentially become...
He's Fat Thor.
Yeah, he's become a drunk.
I mean, they reference it a lot. They like...
Yeah, it got a little much for me. But anyways, they did the time hopping. I liked all that aspect of them revisiting the old films. Essentially, the next thing to talk about is the final battle. Because essentially, they go time hopping. I don't want to give away too much about like what they do in it.
The battle was fantastic.
Yeah, the battle was awesome. The battle is essentially, imagine to me, the battle is essentially the Battle of Wakanda plus the battle on Titan, just in one big sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, you had two armies going to war with each other, and essentially this film, especially in like the last hour, I mean, the film as a whole felt like a massive fan service to Captain America. There's a lot of callbacks to Captain America. There is a lot of references to previous Captain Marvel movie or Captain America movies. One of my favorites, and I think a lot of people's favorites, Hail Hydra. And then he walks out of the elevator. That part was so good. Laughed.
I didn't get that one.
Well, it was referencing Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when he's in the elevator. And he's in the elevator with the same group of guys. But in Winter Soldier, they all have this huge brawl in the elevator. And so it looks like they're about to have another kick-ass brawl in the elevator. And then Captain America goes, "Oh, I know who these guys are." And he leans forward and goes, "Hail Hydra." Completely diffuses the situation, and they give him the scepter. It was an awesome moment. Because he knew they're all Hydra. So he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to just troll these guys."
I just I didn't hear what he said, and everyone busted out laughing. I was like, wait, what happened? I don't get it.
And that's one of the things I did like about the film, was that throughout the course of the film, they subvert our expectations. So we're expecting things to happen one way, and then they flip them and give us something else. So like that elevator scene is one particular moment of them subverting our expectations. We're expecting Captain America to have this big elevator fight. He says, "Hail Hydra," completely diffuses the situation. We don't get the elevator fight, but we get a funny moment. But then what we do get is Captain America versus Captain America.
That was great.
That was unexpected. Again, playing into the fact that we aren't expecting stuff, they are flipping our expectations upside down. Now, that didn't always go as... I don't think it was as a winning formula as they wanted it to be throughout the whole thing. Because when they did it, you know, the Hulk is them subverting our expectations. Thor was them subverting our expectations. We're expecting... Part of what a lot of people were expecting was Hulk to have a redemption arc in this. So, like, he got his ass whooped in Infinity War. People were expecting
He was just like Zen Hulk. He was like Yoga Hulk.
He never had his redemption arc in Endgame. And it was very, very disappointing. And I think that's going to be part of, like, what's going to upset people about this movie, is that what they did with Hulk and Thor. Let's just talk about it now, because I do want to talk about it. So there's a lot of people that are upset that they essentially took Hulk and Thor and essentially nerfed them in this movie. Now, nerfing is when you take something and then you essentially depower it.
Yeah, I get it.
So Hulk has essentially been nerfed because he's essentially Bruce Banner, who's not a rage monster inside the Hulk's body. So he's essentially a pacifist version of the Hulk. He doesn't want to fight. He's not interested in brawling. And he never does. We never get that moment of redemption for the Hulk in this film.
He's Zen Hulk.
And it was unfortunate because in the final battle, when they're all battling everything, I really wanted Hulk. I wanted Hulk to annihilate the one giant child of Thanos. I don't know what his name is. Obsidian, maybe?
Oh.
But he's the one.
He died in the first one.
Yeah, but he was there at the final battle.
Oh, that's right, because Okay, I'm sorry. I was like, he died. Okay, yeah.
And I wanted Hulk to really just like come out and be like, hey, remember when he wouldn't show up before? Now you're in for it. And I just want to see Hulk just annihilate that dude.
I don't really remember him much in the final battle.
He's in it for like 5 seconds. Ant-Man steps on him. Or Giant Man, I should say.
He steps on him and then what? Is he gone?
Yeah, he's dead. He kills him. He's about to hit somebody and then all of a sudden Giant Man's foot comes down and just stomps him.
On Hulk?
No, on the child of Thanos guy.
Oh, no, I was talking about Hulk.
No, he wasn't.
I was like, he killed Hulk?
No. I
was like, what?
The Hulk's not really active in the final battle.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I don't remember seeing
he wasn't
Hulk
there
much.
at all, which was too bad.
Oh.
Because when you see it, I wanted a moment for the original Avengers, all 6 of them, to really have their moment in that final battle. And it was a little disappointing that we didn't get the original 6. We essentially got the big 3. It's Iron Man, Cap, and Thor.
Then what's the original 6?
It'd be Iron Man, Cap, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Hawkeye.
Yeah, but Black Widow.
So that was another thing about subverting expectations. But anyways, before we get to Black Widow, the other one that they subverted expectations with is Thor. We're expecting Thor to be this badass god of thunder, and they essentially turn him into a Viking drunkard. He's lost his will to be a warrior. He no longer wants to be king of Asgard. After everything that's happened after the snap, he's essentially just given up on being the Thor that we know. I wanted the Thor that we know to return by the end, but they kept the shtick of Fat Thor going throughout the whole film, and it ran a little thin for me.
I thought that when he was going to get
the hammer and the axe.
And the axe, I was looking for a whole new makeover. Just the beard.
Yeah, he's got the Viking beard. He essentially turns into Hiccup's dad from How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It's essentially who he turns into.
Oh.
He essentially kind of powers up a little bit, but he gets like the Viking beard, his hair gets braided, but he still's got like the big gut.
Back.
But he still's got like the big gut. He's a big gut Thor.
I mean,
and I feel like they did it because Thor at the end of Infinity War nearly killed Thanos with all the rings. So if you have a powered up Thor versus Thanos with no rings, a lot of people are speculating that there'd be no battle, that Thor would just annihilate him at full power.
That's
true.
So
they essentially nerfed Thor so Thanos wouldn't just be annihilated in the 5 seconds.
I mean, he was playful. He was still Thor. It's not like he was different, but he wasn't as powerful or as strong. And
one of the things about Thor, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. Thor is sort of like female fan service for the Marvel universe. He's always got the guns out. He's big, bulky.
They all are.
Yeah, but Thor's like more gratuitous about it. He's always got the sleeveless arms. Captain America, yeah, I mean, they're good looking guys, but Thor's always been the one that's like, he's the god of the group. And he's the one that like, man, if I could look like any of the Avengers, that's the one I'd look like. And if the girls were like, if I could date any of the Avengers, I think that's the one I would date.
Well, I don't know.
They took all that away. Like, that's all gone. Like, no one wants to look like that Thor, and no one wants to be with that Thor. Like, that Thor is the most unappealing Thor of all of the MCU films. I don't mind that they went there. I mind that they went there throughout the whole film. I've seen people complain about it. I'm not the only one that feels that way.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying that I'm like trying to think about my life, and I mean, Captain America. He just
Captain America can't beat Cap.
He's always been my eye candy.
Can't beat the Cap. What they did with Captain America is fantastic. It felt like this was more so a Captain America and Iron Man movie. This really did feel like more of a continuation of the relationship from Civil War with Captain America and Iron Man, and it felt like it was more their movie than anybody else's, and properly so, because it's really wrapping up their storylines.
Yeah.
Especially where they took everything. Especially with how they ended their stories in this film. one of the other things about subverting expectations, we're going to talk about the ending real quick. So, the ending of the film, everyone was expecting Captain America, who has been the selfless paragon in the whole series, to sacrifice himself to save humanity, and Tony Stark, who's been the self-centered, sort of, I guess you say, self-centered jerk of the group.
Yeah, but he's also the leader.
Him to be the one that would live out a happy ending. They took those expectations that we had, subverted them, and switched them. Tony's the one that became the selfless paragon that sacrificed himself for humanity, and it is Captain America that got to live out a happy ending to his life. Mm-hmm. And so it was, they took what everyone was thinking was going to happen, flipped them, and I actually really, really loved the character progression for those two characters in those moments. Tony sacrificing himself to save humanity wasn't something we were expecting. And maybe a little bit, we were expecting some sort of sacrifice, not on the level that we got. I wasn't expecting that. And then I wasn't expecting what they did with Captain America, which I absolutely loved the way they ended Captain America's arc. And the way they ended it almost made me feel like I just watched almost like Captain America 4. This really did feel like Captain America 4 and Iron Man 4 in one movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if other people feel that way. I mean, it feels more like Captain America and Iron Man 4 than Avengers 4. But that's just me. I mean, maybe other people feel differently. Maybe some people feel the same as me. But it really felt like their stories being wrapped up. And because it takes so much time to...
I think that they're such essential characters in the franchise that they needed that. They needed like a goodbye. They needed a nice wrap up. And even though it did feel almost like a mini Iron Man, Captain America rival, like another Civil War kind of thing, because they were always like butting heads. But like that was their way with each other, which was nice. And so as a whole, I thought that didn't bother me so much, especially because Thor was Thor. Like I was like, he doesn't need to be here right now.
No, it didn't bother me at all. But I think my point is that Infinity War felt incredibly well balanced, and no one really felt like they outweighed the others. Captain America got the shaft a little bit in Infinity War because he didn't have as much to do outside of the Battle of Wakanda. But this movie felt like it heavily leaned into Captain America and Iron Man, but rightfully so.
I think Infinity War was the balance that everybody wanted, or like it was the balance that we needed to make a really good film and to make a really good setup for Endgame. And then Endgame, they were just like, okay, we need to say goodbye to the right people. And then they kind of leaned towards those two characters because from what it appears, everybody else is going to be continuing on in the franchise. Maybe they won't be the center of Marvel anymore. Maybe like new characters will finally come in and we'll have like another 10-year chunk of time with new characters. And so I thought, because they are all coming back, so I think that I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine.
The way that they go about bringing characters back is that everyone that was snapped, they're bringing back, but everyone that died outside of the snap is actually remaining dead. Gamora's gone, Vision's gone.
Oh, yeah.
The characters that passed in this film are now gone. Like, those people are not coming back. I actually thought
Black Widow's gonna have her own movie.
A lot of people are saying it's an origin story. They're essentially Han Soloing Black Widow. So Black Widow
I loved Black Widow. Like, if I would have taken I would have taken a Black Widow movie over a Captain Marvel movie any day.
Yeah, and it was a little disappointing that Black Widow wasn't there in the final battle. I mean, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit because she feels like she was the original female member of the group.
She was the only original female member.
And to not have her there in that final battle, especially in that one moment, was a little...
sad.
Yeah. I wasn't too high on that decision.
She was like the only one in the original movies that I was like, yes, she can do it. She can and she will.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of threw her under the bus.
Yeah, she had her great moment. They have a similar moment in Endgame that they had in Infinity War with the females taking on the bad guys.
They had a great scene. I was like, finally, this is great. Like all of them together, and then they charge, and it's great, and it's awesome, and I loved it.
And it was too bad that Black Widow wasn't able to be part of that since she was one of the original members. I felt like she deserved to be there, and Scarlett Johansson has been so good in the role. But again, subverting expectations, they made some decisions in this film that I personally was not expecting. Black Widow was one of those. Now, talking about subverting expectations, one of the other things that they did to subvert expectations was they killed the Thanos that enacted the snap in Infinity War in the first 15 minutes of the movie. which is essentially the first sign that this is going to be kind of an unpredictable film, that they're going to continue to do things that you're not going to expect them to do, keeping you on your toes. Now, that also led to one of my issues with the final battle of the film. So they killed the Thanos that enacted the snap in the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
So essentially, the final battle is fought against the Avengers and the pre-snap different timeline Thanos. So there are some moments that are cool, but left me feeling a little cold because the Thanos that they were fighting wasn't the actual Thanos that they
had fought before.
But like, for instance, one of the things that was cool but didn't resonate on that much of an emotional level was when Thanos meets Scarlet Witch. She goes, "You took everything from me," and goes, "I don't even know who you are." And I wish that was somehow they would have found a way to actually bring the Thanos that enacted the snap. Maybe not. I almost wish they didn't kill him, so it could have been him was the one they were getting revenge against, not one in a timeline that they had never met before. Because it almost cheapened some of those moments for me. Yes, they were beating Thanos. Yes, they were beating the ghost of the thing that's been haunting them for so long. But it wasn't the Thanos to me. It was a Thanos.
Okay.
So, I don't even know who you are. And then Scarlet Witch essentially wrecks shop against him. It was a cool moment. I just wish that it had more emotional resonance for me. I almost wish that they would have went back in time to when Thanos invaded Wakanda.
Yeah.
And had the whole Avengers team in Wakanda defending Wakanda, and then the final battle would have been against Thanos in Wakanda. And then Wakanda essentially would have went to Wakanda again, but it would be the whole team in Wakanda battling Thanos, and they would have defeated him there.
Interesting.
That would have been my preference, because then you still get to kill the Thanos that enacted the snap. You prevent that one from happening.
Or two Thanoses.
Yeah, you could have two Thanoses. That actually would have been interesting. Maybe the Thanos from 2014 follows them back when they go to battle, and then they have two Thanoses they need to beat. That would have been cool. Damn. Can you imagine that 6 Avengers battling against 2 Thanoses? I wonder if that would have went too far, but actually, I mean, just the sheer idea that's like getting me excited to see that. It'll never happen, but that is a really neat idea.
You're welcome.
But that would have been my preference. As it stands, we still get an awesome final battle.
For sure.
Plenty of fan service.
The handoff to the new Captain America was nice.
He's getting a TV show. I don't think he's going to get a... And I don't think anyone's going to call him Captain America.
Well, I mean, accept what I'm saying. I liked the handoff to Sam.
Yeah, I wasn't big on that.
I thought the Winter Soldier was going to be the next captain.
Yeah, that's another thing, I guess, of them subverting expectations. I would have rather have seen Bucky get the shields. I like Sam Wilson.
I like Sam. I think he deserved it.
But my reasoning for Bucky is because Cap and Bucky go back way, way back to when they were kids. They grew up together. Captain America's whole push in his narrative has been to save Bucky.
65 years in the middle where they didn't see each other.
So, I would have preferred Bucky mainly just because of the emotional resonance between the two characters. Sam, I know, is a great friend of Captain America, but Bucky is the brother. Essentially, the brother-like character to Cap. He's the one that the Cap that was sacrificing himself for to save him.
It'll be a good show then. I will watch a show and you can play video games.
I'll watch the show.
Yeah.
But final thing I want to say that I thought was awesome, probably one of the best moments in MCU, Captain America using Thor's hammer.
Yep.
Seriously, Captain America channeling Mjolnir. I guess I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but channeling the hammer, throwing it around, conjuring the lightning, putting a beat down on Thanos was incredible. Probably one of the most, might have been more hyped than Thor showing up in Wakanda. That scene was absolutely insane. Absolutely loved that. Probably my favorite moment of the whole movie.
I mean, they basically just took Thor's badass scene and gave it to Captain America. And it was great. Yeah. It was great. I'm not hating on it. I'm not hating.
And then Thor's reaction, I knew it. As Cap
just
goes
annihilates everybody.
Goes to a 1v1 battle with Thanos was
That was
awesome.
Really cool.
That was awesome.
I like when he was like, you take the small hammer. I get the big hammer.
Oh, yeah. No, you take the small one. That was good. I like when they both call in the axe and the hammer, and he grabs the axe, and Thor accidentally grabs the hammer and goes, oh no, you take the small one. That was really good. Trying to think there's anything else. I mean, outside of the ending just made me really sad. But it was like a good sad.
It was a good sad. I didn't cry. I mean, I was more emotional when everybody came out of the portals or whatever. Then,
awesome moment.
Yeah, that was really good. When everyone came back, I was like, everybody's still there.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the ending was very sad, but it was a nice send-off.
It was perfect send-off. I am Iron Man. I really do feel like this is an end of an era for the MCU. Really excited where they're going moving forward. I don't think I'd be shocked if they ever bring the Iron Man character back within this iteration of the MCU. With the rules of the time travel, there might be a way where they could bring Cap and Iron Man back. I don't want them to. They've had the perfect ending. We don't need to mess with that. Captain America's send-off was, I mean, both of them, Captain America and Iron Man send-off were pitch perfect. They don't need to change anything about it. I don't think there's anything else to really unpack with this film. I mean, that's essentially it. I mean, it had its issues. There's things about it that I really loved. The last hour of the film essentially is one of the best hours in the entirety of the MCU. Not 100% a fan with where they went with some of the characters, specifically Hulk and Thor. I wish they would have at least given them a little bit of a redemption arc for the two guys. Understand why they did what they did. They needed to nerf some of the heroes to make the final battle just not a 5-second skirmish. But all in all, amazing movie, one of MCU's best. Mm-hmm. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think I'm good. I'm excited to see where everything goes.
Yeah. All right. All right, that's it. That's it for me.
That's it for me.
All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe if you like this video. This one's a lot longer than our typical video, but there was a lot to unpack with this movie.
It was a lot longer of a film.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour movie. It actually didn't feel like a 3-hour film. I was actually quite surprised that once it got going and the pace picked up, it got a lot better. Mm-hmm. The first hour or so are really slow because they pretty much set up all the stakes, which is fine.
They needed it.
Yeah. So we did spoil a lot, but there's a lot of surprises and things still left in this film that we didn't talk about.
A good 10 minutes about not spoilers.
Yeah. But
I'm sure by the time people watch this, they're going to be watching everything because everyone's going to see it this weekend.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
That's it for me.
That's enough talking for us.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time, guys. Like and subscribe if you like this video. Bye-bye.